First and foremost, I just want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your very busy schedules to join me here today for our April Accelerate Series webinar, all about introducing Client Portal. I'm very excited to take you through the material today. This has been a feature that has been long in the works, long requested from many of our users, but I do want to add a quick disclaimer. Some of you that are joining us today are our enterprise clients, which means that it's likely you will be getting the Client Portal. It probably has already been approved through compliance. We have to just do final testing for that release for you. So some of you on today's call, when you log in later today, you may not see the Client Portal. This is likely due to the fact you're an enterprise client. You likely would already know that, but just in case, I just want to mention it. And if you have questions about it, you can certainly reach out to our team. But nonetheless, it will be coming, and for everybody else, you should have access to it as of today. So let's go ahead and get started. For those of you that I haven't had the pleasure of working with yet, my name is LiaJean McHenry. I am AssetMap Senior Training Manager. I've been at AssetMap. I just celebrated my 4-year anniversary a couple of days ago. So very exciting to be here for a 4-year period. Really excited to continue on. And for many of you, I've had the pleasure of doing trainings with you over the years. So thank you for your continued support. I always strive to give you all quality training, and I hope that you feel that way and find value in anything that you attend. All right, this is going to be our agenda. Our agenda is going to be all about introducing Client Portal. I'm going to give you a live client walkthrough. So first, I'll show you where the Client Portal invites live. I will then show you how you can preview a client's portal, kind of figure out what permissions you'd like to give. Then I'll actually walk through live as if a client was sent an invite and what their setup process is going to look like. We will go over the certain permissions that you can either make accessible or not, going over support and resources, of course, and then, of course, save some time at the end for Q&A. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Now, let's just address the elephant in the room because I know everyone's thinking it if you don't know it already. Right now, our version of the Client Portal is looking glass only, meaning that if you give your clients access, they're not going to be able to override or change their information as of today. It's simply going to be able to be a place for them to log in and be able to view certain areas that you give them access to. They cannot change things, they cannot manipulate things, but they will have the ability to view it. Now, that is not to say that potentially we may not make enhancements in the future to add different capabilities, and that's why your feedback is going to be so crucial and important. And I will give you a link to where you can submit that feedback at the end of today's session, and I'll also include it in the email follow-up if you prefer. Okay, so just know that we do take your feedback very seriously, and I am going to encourage that every single one of you later today. My guess is that most of you have maybe even added yourself as a client into AssetMap. That might be a fair statement for a lot of you. If not, you can even use a sample client, but I would encourage each of you to actually go through the process as if you were a client, just so that you can see firsthand what the experience looks like. Now, I'm going to walk you through it step by step today, because you know I always do. I'm never going to leave you hanging, but sometimes it's always helpful for you to then go do it yourself so that you can see it once, you can do it once yourself, and I think that's going to build confidence in helping you walk your clients through it. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to navigate into a household. Okay, this is a household that I've added into AssetMap, and I would like to give them access to a Client Portal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click into this household's digital AssetMap report, and you're going to see the 2 members listed in the middle. We have some additional family members and entities up at the top. Now, when I click into a member and or entity, there's going to be this little arrow icon. That is where the Client Portal invite lives. If you click on the arrow icon, if the person has successfully set up their Client Portal, they're going to have a little active box just like this. But for many of you, if you have not sent out a Client Portal invite, it's going to look like this. If I click into the spouse, click back on that Client Portal arrow, you're going to see it's inactive, right? She does not have a Client Portal set up. But here's the thing. I'm going to start with the primary, and I'm just going to show you this quickly, that even though in this primary, in the Client Portal section, technically he's already successfully set up his Client Portal, I can change the permission set at any time. So that's actually where I'd like to start today, is I want to talk about what can we even give our clients access to within their client portal. Granted, it's a view only format, which is really powerful because we don't want them being able to make changes to things unless there's a way to kind of capture that, have some form of an audit log or record so that if you needed to change it back, you could. In the meantime, we have two preset permission sets, okay? There is Asset Map and Reader. So these ones down below, I created on my own, but I'm going to show you this here, okay? If you click Asset Map, you'll notice that with the permission set titled Asset Map, the two permissions that they would have is when they log into their client portal, they would be able to view the digital asset map report. That's what view means. And there would be a PDF button to allow them to print the report. So they can log in, they can view their digital asset map at any time, and they can print it. That is what this permission set is, okay? If I click update, okay, this permission set is set. This actually allows me to enter the client preview. So the great thing is that being on the advisor side, even before we send a client portal invite, you're probably going to want to click into one of the clients and or prospects, select a permission set, and then enter the client preview. Why? Because you're likely going to want to preview what it will look like for them before you even send them an invite to get started. So that's what we're going to illustrate here today. So once this loads, it's going to get going here. We're going to refresh our screen. This is what the client portal is going to look like for this person when they log in and or I send them an invite, okay? If the permission set is set to Asset Map, when they log in, all they're going to see is their digital asset map report, and there's going to be a PDF button on the upper right-hand side. Now, they'll also have a household summary page, and the household summary page will always show their asset map report big up at the top. And if we scroll down, we do have 5 preset key financial figures that show for them, okay? You do not set these key financial figures. These are the 5 key financial figures that based off of our testing groups, that these were the ones that were most applicable that clients wanted to see, okay? And remember, key financials are a roll-up summary of an entire household. So this income for key financial figures is not going to just be the primary client and spouse's income. If on their asset map report, there are additional members and entities and things and incomes and things have been added for them. It's a roll-up summary of the entire household, okay? So just please bear that in mind. So this is the asset map permission set. Ability to view that digital asset map report, ability to print that digital asset map report. Now, if I click on my main menu, because again, I'm logged in as myself as the advisor and I'm previewing this client's portal, I can also click exit preview. Now, if I go back into Asset Map, okay, looks like my internet's being slow, so I apologize for that. But if I click back on my primary client, I click back on the client portal icon, and I decide later down the road, you know what, I'm going to actually give him access to more things. I'm going to turn on the reader permission set. So that's the thing. You can change the permission set at any time. My only recommendation is it's better to give them less to start and give them more later rather than give them everything in the beginning and then start taking things away, okay? Here's why. People notice. I'm not saying everyone's going to notice, but people notice. I would notice. I'm a very observant person. And if I had access to something and then later, a couple weeks later, I logged in and like half the things that I saw before are no longer there, I'm going to have questions like, where'd they go? Why are they missing? Oh, you removed them from me. Like, why? You know, so it's just things like that to consider. So if I turn on the other default permission set, which is reader, you can see that there's several other sections that become available. Not only will they get to have the view of the digital asset map report and the ability to print, they'll have the view of the balance sheet report, ability to print. They'll be able to view that financial section that just lists off all the different financials added for their household. They can print that report. See the view of members, so see any members listed off and be able to print it. The policy summary report, and then for shared reports view, and then also signals view. So signals, there's no report available here. The intention is that at first glance, this is just an area for them to be able to look, and if they have questions about it, it's going to stimulate conversation. They will reach out to you, because remember, signals are really powerful, and it's all about how you choose to position them. And in the coming months, I'm actually going to do a new webinar on signals because I've really found some creative ways that I've seen work really well for other financial advisors on how they're leveraging signals in conjunction with target maps. So I want to show that in a training. Not only show it, but I want to show you how people are choosing to talk about it to really set you up for success. So if I have this permission set to reader, I'm going to scroll down and click update. Once that gets saved, I'm now going to preview this client's portal again. Now, the reader format is going to give them several of those other sections on the left. So again, the client portal view is somewhat similar to what you all see on the advisor side. But that's what makes it really nice, is it's intuitive. It's a really easy way to kind of navigate. You can guide them because you're familiar with it. But again, if they have access to a client portal and you gave them the reader permission set, when they log in, this is what they're going to see. They're going to have a household summary page, same thing we saw before. Okay. But if you also make the members and the signal section available, there will be 2 extra sections on the household summary page, simply just capturing that information in another section. Okay. On the digital asset map report, they would be able to print. On the members page, they could see any members they could print. Now you might be asking yourself, well, what happens if they click into some of these things, right? So if they click into the primary, they can't edit this information. We're going to let them know they don't have permission to do that. And that is really where you come in and framing the client portal in the best way possible. Say, listen, I'm going to give you access to a portal where you're going to be able to log in and view this information. Now, if you need anything to be edited, added, deleted, just email us and our team will get that taken care of for you. This is part of our white glove service that we provide. Just let us know. And the great thing is that they're able to navigate to these different sections. They can still click in and view the details if they want to. They can download a report if they want to. But even on the asset map report in the digital view, if they click on something, all these boxes are going to be grayed out. Okay, so that's going to be there. Now, that being said, we're going to have a section here under the balance sheet. This just works the same way that the digital balance sheet works for all of you. They can toggle between the names of the different members and entities based off of who they have selected. When they click the PDF, that's what's going to be on the report. Same thing goes for policy summary. They could isolate one person, one type of insurance at a time. Click that PDF, that will be on that report. They can come back in and do another if they want to. Okay. I see some things coming into the chat. If you don't see signals, and so for specifically signals, this might be due to the level of access that you have. And if you're not sure about that, you can certainly reach out to our team and we can help. Okay. If you have the ability to share reports, this is actually where you'd be able to do that. So on the advisor side, when you generate a deliverable, if you have a client with a client portal, you may have access to shared reports. That may vary on an enterprise level, so just be mindful of that. But there will be an ability for many of you to be able to push that report that you generated with an asset map that might have target maps and some other things listed, and you want it to be available for your clients to go in and be able to download and view it from within their client portal. That's what this shared report section is. That will make more sense when I show you the live example here in just a couple of minutes. Okay. Clicking back on my main menu, I'm going to click Exit Preview. Coming back onto the advisor side. So now we've walked through that in order to preview a client portal, you have to go into a member and or entity, click into the client portal tab. You'll have to select a permission set. So in this example, we went over the 2 that are defaulted. Now, I'll show you later today that you can also create your own custom permission sets. So asset map permission set is like, I would say, bare bones, right? Asset map report, an ability for them to print. But the reader is kind of everything, right? And for some of you, you might say, well, listen, I want to find that sweet middle spot. Like I want to have a permission set that has the asset map report, view and print, the balance sheet report, view and print, and the policy summary report, view and print. Everything else, like I don't really need them to have access to, or I don't want them to have access to right now. That's where you can create a custom permission set. Now, where you're going to do that is actually going to be in your main menu under user preferences. Okay, so we're going to go there first. I don't want to navigate off my page though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click my mouse. I'm going to click open link in new tab. Now, from here, I'm going to be able to then go into the user preferences section, and there's going to be a client portal tab. In the client portal tab, this is where you can come. You cannot change our default permission sets, but you can create new ones. Okay. Or if you create any custom permission sets, you can override the custom permission sets that you generate. So for example, let me just show you, if you wanted to create new, you'd click create new and you'd give it a name. You might call it asset map report, policy summary, balance sheet, and you would simply uncheck the ones you don't want, check the ones you do, scroll down and click create. Okay, that's how you would create your own permission set. But let's say that after you created that permission set, so let's pretend it's this one right here. Okay, you're like, you know what, I don't actually like this name anymore because I don't want signals to be a part of this. I want it to be the asset map report, the balance sheet, and the policy summary. I can just simply override this, type in balance sheet, like so, scroll down, and I'll just simply uncheck to include signals, and I'll simply use the balance sheet, add that in, and then I click update. And all that does is it just updated it now, and now that's going to be what my new option is. Okay, the asset map report, the balance sheet, and the policy summary. So when you create your own custom permission sets, you cannot delete them, but you can override the custom ones to kind of like change it and use a new one moving forward. Good questions coming into the chat. Can the permission set be customized for each client? Yes, but you would have to create the custom permission sets here. So what I encourage you to do instead is just create all the different types of permission sets that you'd want and then have them available. And then on a per client basis, you could pick them. Okay, pick which one you want to assign. So just know that this is where you're going to come to create custom permission sets. Now let's go back into this household. I did already send my primary client a client portal invite and he successfully set it up. But now his wife, she would like access to a client portal as well. So in order to give her a client portal, I have to click into her icon of her member avatar, click on her client portal tab. And from here, I'm going to be able to create the invite to send it off to her. Okay, so when you click into a member or an entity that does not have a client portal invite set up and or accepted and set up in general, this is exactly what the view is going to look like. The first thing you have to decide is, do you want to require them to register with a specific email address? Okay, if you're like, I don't care what email address they use, fine, then uncheck it. But for some of you, you might say, well, why does it matter? Well, their email address is technically their username. And so for some of you, if you're like, if they ever ask me what's my username, I want to be able to answer that. And so it needs to be the email that I have on file for them. Then that's where you're going to need to select require the user register with a specific email address. And then you can put the email address in there like this. Okay. And that would mean that they would be required to use that email. Now, then you have to select what kind of permission set. So maybe to start off, I only want her to have the asset map option. That's just the ability to view the asset map report and or print it. But then I'm like, I'll actually give her the reader view because that's the same view that I gave her husband and I want it to be the same. So then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to click create invite. Now, again, before I click create invite, I could preview the client portal, make sure, check I like this permission set, then exit out of the preview and then come back. But I know that I'm happy with this, so I'm going to click create invite. Upon clicking create invite up at the top, it's going to switch that this is not inactive now. Now it's pending. Here's going to be a shareable link. The link is valid for 1 week from the time that you generate the link. So the link will expire. So if you generate this link and you send it off to somebody and a week goes by and they never did anything on it, you're going to have to scroll down and click this little exit mark that says delete invite. You just delete the invite and then you create a new one and then you send them a new link. Okay. Up at the top, we make it really easy. You can copy the link and send it off to them in an email, and or you could use a QR code if you want to. Okay. Now, I'm going to pretend to be this client, and I'm going to show you from start to finish what it looks like for her to get this set up and established. So everybody track with me. And if you have, I see questions coming in, I promise I'll get them answered, but we're going to have to wait until the end. Okay. Just because there's several different questions about different things and I don't want to hop around and get anybody confused. So here's what we're going to do. I am going to go ahead and pivot into pretending to be the client. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this tab over. And what I'm going to do is I have one of my browser tabs open in incognito mode just so that I can illustrate this. Otherwise, it'll log me out of my advisor login. So we don't want to do that. So let's pretend that I sent this client an email, okay? In that email was that unique link. So there's that unique link. She clicks on it. Well, once she clicks on it, it's going to take her exactly to where she can go set up her client portal. So let's review. The first step is you have to get in, get comfortable with the client portal, get comfortable with the permission sets you want to make available. Then you're going to start generating links. You're responsible for generating a link on a per client, per spouse, per child basis code, because each person has their own login, and you can give them different permission sets. Primary client wants access to everything, but they only want their adult child to have the asset map view, the ability to just view the asset map and download it, right? That's great for like estate purposes and things like that. Now, in this example, right, you're, like I said, you're responsible for emailing the link off to the individual so that they can set up their client portal. When they click on that, this will be the first thing that they see. This is going to be the advisor's name, and it's going to let them know they want to share your household with you. Okay, so household naming criteria becomes really important, because if you had named this household like Tom and Diana, young family, like that's what the household's name is going to be listed here. So if you just have like Tom, young family, or let's say you have multiple households with the same last name, like you might want to get comfortable and find a naming criteria that works well for you, because how you name a household and asset map, if you choose to give them a client portal, they will see how you named their household and asset map. So just be mindful of that. All she has to do is she clicks create account. If she already has an asset map client portal account set up, she can just click sign in, but she doesn't. So she's going to click create account. She's going to be required to enter an email. Okay. She's going to be required to add her first and her last name, and she's going to have to create a password. Okay. She can check the password here, make sure everything's good. She can say, I agree to the following terms of service. She can read the terms of service verbatim if she wants to. She can then click create account. Now, first step, she has to authenticate that she is in fact a real person. Okay, so I'm going to wait a second, and I'm going to get an email, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. So there's going to be 2 emails that clients are going to receive upon them creating their client portal for the first time. Number 1 is the first step is they have to verify who they are and verify that this is in fact them. So this is the first email they're going to get. Okay, finish creating your asset map client portal account. It'll let them know you're almost done. Okay, these are just some final steps that you need to do. So they can click verify, or they can just copy the code down, and all they got to do is they just exit out of this email, and then they can click enter code. Okay, so that's what they're going to do. So they're going to type in the code, just like so, and then they're going to click create account. Okay, from there, you're going to be able to from there, they can then click sign in. I did see a question that comes in, will we know the client's password? No, you will not. So when they go to sign in for the first time, if they forget their password, they're required to follow the prompts. They can click forgot your password. They can click trouble signing in. Okay, now let's just be transparent about something. Please do not give your clients our asset map support phone number and or email. We are not allowed to talk to your clients directly, because you as the advisors are our clients. Your clients are your clients. So if your clients have questions about the client portal, they need to come to you. You then can come to us, and then we'll help you navigate those conversations. Okay. So this particular client, she's going to come type in her email. She's going to type in her password. She might say, remember me, and then she's going to go ahead and click sign in. Now, one really important thing to remember is that the login that your clients will use to log into their client portal, and what I'm talking about is like the URL. The URL that they will use to log into their client portal is slightly different than the advisor login that some of you may have. Now, I know some of you are enterprise clients, so you may have like single sign-on and things, so you don't have to worry about that if that's the case. But for those of you that go to a URL to type in your username and password to log into Asset Map, it's going to be different than the ones that the clients will use to log into their client portal. And I'll show you some best practices on what to do to save that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and have her click sign in. Once she clicks sign in, upon logging into her client portal successfully for the first time, it's going to say, listen, your advisor wants to share this household with you. Do you accept? In this case, it would be her own household. So she's going to click accept. After that, she then can click on her household. And from this point moving forward, every time she logs in, she'll be able to see her household. So on the left-hand side, she's got her menu, and the areas that you see on the left are the options that her advisor made available to her. In this case, I'm the advisor. Okay, so I gave her that reader permission set. So when she logs in, she's going to have those options here. She can click into them. Now, there's a couple extra things that when a client logs into their client portal, they have extra visibility. So for example, on the upper right-hand side, they can click on this. This will be their advisor's name. It'll give their advisor's company, phone number, and an email address. So the intention here is I can say, listen, anytime you log into your client portal, Lauren, take a look. If anything ever needs to be added or updated, just shoot me over an email, let me know, and I will get that updated for you. If you forget my email when you log in, you can just click on my name on the upper right. My email will be right there, and you can send us off a quick email. In addition, clients also have a menu on the upper right-hand side. They also have a user preferences section. Now, their user preferences section allows them to add their profile picture. If they just want their picture to show on the upper right-hand side, it doesn't flow through to anything else, but people like that. So this allows them to kind of personalize it a little bit more. On the left, they'll also be able to update their email if they want to change their email that they have tied to their client portal. They also have a security tab, so they can set up two-factor authentication if that's important to them, okay, through email and or text. And if, let's say, proactively every 3 months they like to change their passwords on things, right? There's always like 1 or 2 clients like that. They can log into their client portal. They can click on their main menu, go into user preferences, click on security, and they can update their password here as well. Okay, and that's updating on their own merit, not that they forgot it. They're just updating it to be proactive. If they forget it when they log in for the first time, they're going to have to follow the prompts. Okay, or rather, when they continue to log in, they'll have to follow the prompts in order to do that. In addition, in their main menu, they actually have a client-facing little support center. So under support documentation, this is all client-facing, and it simply will just provide with some user guides and resources that explain the different sections that they have. So for example, policy summary page, they can click on this. It'll explain to them exactly what this section is and ultimately how it works. And if they have questions about it, they can reach out to their advisor. Okay, so lots of little options there. Finally, the last section in their menu is terms of service. So we do allow them to revisit that at any time so that they can have conversations about it. Now, if they click on the logo at the top of the screen, just like it does on your advisor side of the platform, it'll always loop them back to the home page. In this case, it's going to be the household summary page. Now, one section I do want to talk about is reports. Okay, so if you have access to the report sharing, what that means is that if you generate a deliverable on the advisor side of AssetMap and you want to push that deliverable from AssetMap into this person's client portal so that they can view it, right, as a place to kind of store things, as a place to be able to download it from there, that's what this report section is going to be. But you have to push the report and make it available to them, and they have to have an active client portal. So let me show you what that's actually going to look like. And in order to do that, I have to go back onto the advisor side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that in just a moment. Let's go back here. All right, so I'm going to refresh my screen. So here I am back as the advisor. Let's say that I had a presentation. Both Neil and Lauren came in today. We reviewed their AssetMap report. I covered their signals. I also covered some target maps that I created for them. Now it's time for me to build that deliverable to send it to them as a follow-up. So maybe in that deliverable, I want the cover page, the AssetMap report default. I want signals. I want both of the target maps I created. I also want the balance sheet, and I also want the policy summary and the beneficiary report. Okay, so we're starting those estate conversations. Of course, the cover page and disclosure are defaulted. So what I can do is I can scroll up to the top. I can click generate report. So in a moment, that's going to get queued up. I can generate that, and then I'd have the ability to download this onto my computer. But back in AssetMap, if you have access to report sharing, and again, this can vary depending on if you're an enterprise, you know, each company might be a little bit different in terms of what they allow. But if you have access in reports, there's going to be a history tab. And in the history tab would be where we would store that report that you just generated. Okay, so that's going to be what's listed here. And if I refresh my screen, I'd be able to see it here. Now, I didn't actually click the button to click. I clicked to generate, so that's what's going to be listed here. Okay, it updated. So this is the most recent one that I just did. Now you're going to see a little client portal arrow. So if you click that, it'll actually allow you to say, hey, do you want to share this comprehensive report? The only people that will be listed will be anyone within that household that has an active client portal. And you can say, you know what, I'm going to share that with Lauren. Okay. And I'm also going to share that with Neil. And I could go ahead and share those over. And then I could tell them, listen, later today, when you go home, log into your client portal, go into that report section. This deliverable that I presented to you live in today's meeting, you'll have a copy of it so that you can download it for your reference. Okay. All right, so that being said, now if I come back on the household page, you can see here that both next to Neil and Lauren's name, there's active. That means that they both have successfully set up their client portal. If I click back into the digital asset map report, I click on Lauren, I click on the little client portal icon on the upper right hand side, I can see she's active. At any time, I can change the permission set. So yes, I did give her the reader permission set to start. Maybe there's just a lot of questions coming in regarding some sections and she really just wants it to just be the asset map report. She doesn't need all the other stuff. I can switch it at any time, click asset map, click update, and then there you go. Now the next time she logs in, now she's only going to have access to those two options. So the household summary page, the ability to view that digital asset map report, and of course be able to print it. Another way that you can see which members of a household have had a client portal set up is back here on the household summary page. There's also going to be the option next to the household's name to click edit. And in that edit section, you're going to have a client portal tab. In the client portal tab, this will show every member and entity that make up this household, or rather, I should say every member. Entities won't be listed here. But under any member that's been added, regardless of their role, over on the right, we're going to let you know what the status of their client portal is. Inactive means that you've never sent an invite. Pending would mean that you created an invite and perhaps you sent it out. We're just waiting for them to fully set it up. So from this view, you could also click the arrow icon here, and that would just be another way for us to send out an invite to Barry. So lots of different ways to kind of get around. We also have tons of resources regarding client portal. So if you have access to the feature, which again, I know some of you will be getting it shortly, so it may not be in there right now, but it will be coming, so don't worry. If you click on the chat bubble on the upper right hand side, you can go into the search for help section and you'll just type in client portal, just like so, and you're going to have a number of resources available so that you can take a look at those there. Okay. All right, so that is going to be the client portal. The last thing I'll mention is if I go back into the view of the client logging in, if the client clicks on their main menu and they click log out, okay, this is the URL that your clients will use to log into Asset Map. Now, once they log in successfully for the very first time, I just want to show you that they are going to get one final email. So I told you they get 2 emails. The first email is they have to verify that they are in fact who they say they are, right, to get that code, and then they can log in for the first time. But when they do successfully log in for the first time, they also get this email. We'll say, congratulations, your login email is here. So we do tell them, like, don't forget that this is your login email. And then they can also click this login button. And if they were to click login here, that would actually allow them to be taken to where they could log in, and I would just recommend that they bookmark that page. But here's the thing, I know it's going to come up. I know you're going to have an instance where a client reaches out and they're like, hey, can you I don't remember the link to go log in. So I always like to just remind everybody that this is the link right here. It's just app.asset-map.com/consumer/auth, like think of authenticate, but just AUTH. Okay. This is why I'm going to recommend that each of you go through this process at least once yourself, pretending to be the client, so that you can kind of bookmark and save some of these things, set yourself up for success so you can help your clients do it moving forward. All right. So before we move into addressing any outstanding questions, because I know that there are some questions that have come in, I do think I've answered most of them, but it is really important to me that I check in with the group. And I just want to ask, do you love Asset? If you love Asset Map, you're enjoying the platform, you're enjoying the tools that we have available, you love the support that you're receiving, it would mean so much to me and my team and our entire company if you could take a minute later today and just fill out an honest review. And I'm going to post a link right here. I'll also go ahead and follow up with you if you answer the poll that yes, you'd be interested. So if you forget, I will follow up with you in an email, and I'll just ask that you take a moment to please do that. I did just post a link in the chat if anybody wants to do it right now, but I'll also follow up a little bit later. Okay, let me take a second and I'm going to look at some of these questions and just ensure that we're set up for success. Great question came in. When you select reader view, give access to all. When you select reader view, give access to all those other sections or just those sections we want. Okay, perfect. So this is exactly what I was talking about before. When you click into a member and you click into the client portal tab, the two permission sets that are defaulted are ASAMAP or reader. Reader is you're giving them access to all of these sections. And I know that you asked this question before I went over creating your own custom permission set. So hopefully by now you should feel good in that section. But if you need a reminder, if you're saying, okay, well, I like most of the things in this reader permission set, but I don't want them to have, let's say, the financials view. I just don't want them to have it. Because that's not an option within the reader set and or the ASAMAP default set, that's where you have to create your own custom permission sets. And again, where you're going to do that is going to be in your main menu on the upper right-hand side under user preferences, specifically under the client portal tab. So if I open this in a new tab so we don't lose our spot, in the ASAMAP user preferences section, there will be a client portal tab. This is where you could come create new, just pick and choose the ones that you do want them to have access to, okay? And then you can create your own custom name for it, scroll down, click create, and that would be a permission set that you could use on a per client basis moving forward, okay? So please just be mindful of that. Okay. Does the reader view give them access to notes? No, it does not. Notes do not flow through to the client portal. So even if on the ASAMAP report in some of these different boxes and things, you come into the notes section, you add notes at this time, notes do not flow through to the client portal. And I don't believe that we'll have intentions for that. But again, that's feedback that you can provide to us if you'd like. That being said, I am going to take a second and I'm going to give you all a link where if you'd like to submit feedback, this is going to be a good place for you to be able to do that. So give me just a moment and I will grab you that link. Okay. So this is what the link is going to look like. All right. I'm going to post it in the chat of this webinar so you can take a look. This is where you can come to kind of learn a little bit more about the client portal. But down at the bottom, this is actually where you can submit that feedback. So if you say, you know what, I like the client portal so far, but I wish it did X, or I wish that we could do this instead, or I wish notes would flow through, that's where you can submit that feedback, and that will go directly to our team internally so that we can then go through those things for you. All right, so that's going to be the best place to submit those. Okay, let's see about any other additional questions. Can the permission set be customized for each client? Yes, okay, you can change the permission set for each individual client, even within household. So I could give Neil everything and I could just give Lauren the ASAMAP report view and the ability to print. Okay, so it's not like all or nothing, like you can choose individual permission sets per member that you issue a client portal invite out to, which is really, really nice. Is there a way for the clients to view details to the assets that have been inputted, like contribution rates? What about any notes that we've attached? Okay, so again, coming back to this, if I come into a member, click on their client portal, preview the client portal for a moment so that you can look at it. Let me just show you what they have access to. So let's say that you added some notes here. Okay, they can click into it and they can only see the pieces that make up this. So there's no ability for them to view like the details tab. There's no notes tab here. Again, if you would like to see that in the future, you can submit that feedback via the feedback link we posted. In terms of will we know the client's password? No, you will not unless they physically tell you what their password is. So again, when clients log in on their own, if they forget their password, they can click forgot password here or follow the trouble signing in prompts. Okay, and then go from there. Because you will not, we do not will not provide you with what their password is. Okay, let's see. Did you say that notes will not even populate if we share the, so if you include in a deliverable, okay, there's a big difference. So let me exit this preview. So when you give a client access to a client portal, they're not going to be able to see tabs like this that you all see on the advisor side. They won't see details and they won't see notes. But let's say that you do add some notes into some of these different things and you decide that in the report deliverable that you're going to generate, you decide to include the notes report. If you include the notes report as part of a comprehensive deliverable, you generate it and choose to share that generated report with the notes report being part of it, that will push through onto the client portal side and they can access and download that report. So hopefully that answers your question. Can a client see their whole household, both spouses, kids, etc.? Yes, they can. So again, if I come back here, sorry, I feel like we're having to kind of flip around a little bit, but that's just what happens when you get good questions. So let me show you. If I preview this client's portal one more time, they'll see everybody. So can a client see their whole household? Yes, they'll see themselves in the middle. They'll see everybody up at the top. Same functionality, they can toggle between, just like you can on the advisor side. They can isolate one member at a time. They could look at like just their son. They could look at just their mother-in-law. They could put Hank side by side next to the business. Okay, same functionality. So they are able to see the whole household all at once if they want to, or they can toggle between the different names of the members and entities. Okay. If you are using integrations, yes. So if you are using integrations, let's go back on the advisor side so we don't get confused. That's the most important thing here. Back on the advisor side, if you are using any form of an integration, you're responsible for resyncing, so pulling over the most up-to-date values. But as long as you do that, as they get updated here, it'll push through an update on that client's portal as well. But they will not have the ability to like hit resync or anything like that. Will asset map at any point allow us to send out links to update their asset map prior to annual reviews? It's a great question. If that's something that you'd be interested in, that's where I would submit feedback that eventually you would like clients to be able to make edits to their asset map digitally through their client portal. Right now, it's not a functionality. It is something that our team is currently exploring. I'm not sure what that will look like, but it's certainly something that you can submit as feedback to our team. Okay. Great questions coming in. Do clients see the name of the permissions that they have? No, there would be nowhere in the application for them to see that. So you don't have to worry about it. Like if you give them just the bare minimum, they don't know you're giving them the bare minimum. The only way they're going to know it is if you give them everything, like the reader view, for example, and then you give them the asset map view later. That they may realize that you took things away, and that'll be probably not so fun conversation that you'll have to have, but a fair question if it comes up. Let's see. Is there any prerequisite to being able to use client portal and asset map? I have access to, yeah, so great question. Again, if when you log into asset map and you click on a member and you don't see the client portal tab, my guess is you are one of our enterprise clients. And with any enterprise that we work with, we have to go through there's a process. So when new features get released, we have to submit for compliance to our large enterprises that they have to get it approved. We have to do final testing on our end just to ensure that everything's tidied up for that enterprise, and then we're able to release it. So if you don't see client portal today, it's likely because you're one of our enterprise clients. The good thing is it will be coming. Okay, all of our enterprises as of today, we have the conversations that have either been started or already been had, and we're just doing final testing to get it released for the group. So we should be in a good place there. Do we have to send the invite link, or does the system email the invite? Great question. You are responsible for sending it. It will not do it automatically. Yes, I know it's a lot of information, comments kind of coming in that this was a lot. I understand. And if that's the case, you might benefit from booking one-on-one time with someone if you need to be able to go through it at a particular pace, or when you watch the recording back, you can always slow the recording down. We're just always very limited on time, really making sure that we cover everything in and out. So I apologize if it was a little fast, but hopefully you were able to follow along. Great questions. Yeah, so I think I've addressed everything that's come in here. If you have any additional hopes, wishes, wants, or you'd like to see feature enhancements, please, the best thing you can do, you need to submit it. Okay, so you need to come to this feedback form, asset-map.com/client-portal. Scroll down to the bottom, just add your name and your email and submit that feedback, and that will go directly to our team. Our product team will be able to examine that. And that'll be one of the most important things. Now, one of the last things that I wanted to talk to you all about today before we conclude with our final slide is I just want to remind everybody that once a quarter, we offer an incredibly immersive training, which is our Asset Map Virtual Bootcamp. And while we offer tons of complimentary training, because I just want to be clear about that, we offer tons of complimentary training. We got weekly group trainings that you can attend that come with your subscriptions. You can schedule one-on-one time as many times, as often as you want, okay, as long as like there's times available that from our team. You can also reach out to our support team anytime you want when you have questions, right? There's not a lack of complimentary support here, so I just want to be clear. But we do offer some in-depth training options, such as our Asset Map Virtual Bootcamp. Our next one is going to be coming up in May. I do have a couple seats left, so if you do have interest in wanting to sign up, we were offering early bird pricing, which was 35% off for a short period of time. But I like to be tried and true to the folks that continue to come to my training, and so I do want to offer a little bit of, I want to honor that discount, even though it's passed, but also give you all a little bit more. So I am going to give you a special code for 40% off. That will not expire this coming Monday. Sorry, I need to delete that little section there, but it will expire this coming Monday, which is not March 25th, but in fact would be, let's see, tomorrow's the 19th, 20th, 21st. So the April 22nd, okay? That code will expire. So please just be mindful of that. But we'd love to have you join us. So as we conclude today's webinar, the last thing I always want to remind you of is this. Please always stay tuned for our upcoming webinars. Okay, we've covered the client portal this month. There will be a new topic next month. Stay tuned for that. If you said that you'd be willing to leave us a review, please take the second to fill out that G2 link. I already posted it earlier today. I can post it again at the bottom of the chat if you all like. I will also send it off to you all via email. And I would appreciate it if you could take a moment. Lastly, I would love for you to come to our Asset Map Virtual Bootcamp. And our final thing is, I'd love to know what you thought of today's training, okay? Feedback does mean a lot to me specifically, since feedback goes to myself, just so that I know that you got some value out of today's training. I do want to let you know that, yes, we do kind of have to move quickly in some of these trainings. So if it's not for you, then you can always sign up. You can always get the recording. You can slow the recording down, or you can always schedule one-on-one time with someone from our team. But we have to be mindful of everyone's schedules and ensure that we get through the majority of the content. In some cases, there's several things to cover. So other than that, that is all I have for us today. Thank you so much for your continued support. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Again, reminder to those of you that are my enterprise clients, stay excited. Client portal is coming. It should be released to you all shortly. We're just doing final testing. And thank you so much, everyone. I hope you get in there, start using the client portal if you do have access, and please reach out to our team if you have any additional questions. Thanks, everybody. Hope you have a great day.